members of the council, before you do not turn your microphones on until you're ready to speak. We've been told there's too much background noise. So leave your microphones off until you're ready to speak, and then turn the microphone. I would like to call this meeting to order, please. First item is the invocation, and it will be delivered tonight by Ms. Linda O'Leary.
Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight through the power and the blood of Jesus Christ. We thank you, dear Lord, for the blessings you bestowed upon this great Cherokee nation. We thank you individually, too, dear Lord, for our individual blessings of home and family and our religious path that we may walk closer to you. We thank you, dear Lord, for our military people that serve in our country. We pray for our ministries throughout the nations, and we ask you to bless this nation, bless all the countries around the world, and continue to bless and let us see growth and good things come from our endeavors at Cherokee Nation. Bless this council, dear Lord, in their decisions. And there's some heavy burdens that probably coming before us. And we ask your guidance in all these things. In these things we pray. Amen.
Bill Newton.
Here.
John Baker.
Here.
August Connor. Kara Cowan. Joe Pittman.
Here.
Mary Fraser. Here. John Darvin. Carl Hoskins.
Here.
William Johnson.
Here.
John Peter.
Here.
Linda O'Leary. Here. Jackie Bob Martin. Melvin Shophouse. David Gordon.
Present.
Phil George. Here.
All councilmen present. First item on the agenda is approval of the previous minutes of the previous meeting.
Second.
Motion moved and seconded. All in favor, aye? Aye. The ayes have it. Next item is the State of the Nation address, delivered by Mr. Chad Smith, Deputy Principal Chief of the Cherokee Nation.
I've been demoted.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one. Didn't say exactly. Is this working? You can hear me? Well, I'm delighted to be here at the State of the Nation this January 2005. It's a new year, so we thought we'd every year try to do something different, but we actually had logistics problems with people coming down the stairs on that side, so this evening we tried to do it. I sincerely hope everyone had a safe and happy holiday this season, a great Christmas and a good New Year's. Before I begin with the monthly report, I want to take a moment to express on behalf of the Cherokee Nation our deep sadness for the people affected by the December 26th natural disaster in southeastern Asia. In only 2 weeks, these besieged nations have begun moving from rescue efforts to the long, arduous task of recovery for their people and their businesses. In our own small way, in the traditional way of our people, the Cherokee Nation joins other world governments to help with the donation. CME has made a contribution, the Gaming Operations made a contribution last year. This evening I'll ask you to amend your agenda and pass a resolution so the government of the Cherokee Nation can enter that world community of governments and extend our hand in this dire time to those nations. I think it's a statement that we need to make. That we are people that is comrade and have community of interest with those indigenous peoples in the Southeast. So we'll ask that the Council approve an amendment to the agenda and a donation of $10,000 for those efforts. I also want to report on donations made here closer to home. The Cherokee Nation's Angel Tree program made Christmas a joyous event for almost 975 needy children. More than 30 Cherokee Nation employees volunteered their time and lunch hours to shop for and wrap gifts. Our Cherokee Nation staff who made it possible should be commended, that we have 3 that are special angels. Brandy Limley, Eddie Charbonneau, and Shannon Chester. Are those folks here tonight? Well, let's still express our appreciation to them. And for the 3rd year, Cherokee Nation Enterprises stepped forward with their support in the amount of $20,000. The definite highlight of this month's business report is one that should be shared with Joe Crittenden and Don Garden. It's a great announcement of our 82,000 square foot Indian clinic in Muskogee. With the help of our tribal council members, especially Don Garden, the health services staff members, Melissa Gower, Chris Walker, Casey Ross, Petherick, and the Washington, D.C. office, we finalized a joint venture agreement with Indian Health Service. This agreement is for the Cherokee Nation to bear the building costs for the new clinic in Muskogee. And the Indian Health Service will assume the cost of operating once the clinic is built. Construction costs should be in the neighborhood of $20 million. The operating expenses are estimated to be around $17 million. The new clinic will lessen the burden of our other Indian Health Service facilities, especially Hastings and Tahlequah, Claremore Indian Hospital, and the Cherokee Nation's Redbird Clinic in Salisaw. The new clinic will offer medical care to Indian men, women, and children. And Don Garvin said very eloquently at the opening, he says, Muskogee has very healthy men because they didn't need a clinic. Well, now they can afford to eat. We'll also include a dental clinic, an optometry clinic, and a pharmacy. We'll provide x-ray, physical therapy, and behavioral health services. The clinic will also employ approximately 175 new jobs to the area. And we are now in the process of securing financing for the construction and plan to have the clinic up and running by the end of 2006. So special thanks to the council, especially the committee and Chairman Joe Crittenden, because it couldn't have been done without them. So let's give them a round of applause. I did have the interesting note to read in the Muskogee Phoenix over the weekend, an editorial. They were actually responding to an issue, a case pending in the Northeast about the Mohicans taking lands and not collecting taxes on it. And the editorial was less than supportive of that initiative. And I think perhaps I should remind our neighbors in Muskogee that tribes actually contribute to those communities rather than take away. The lands we purchased there in Muskogee, 11 acres, will bring 175 jobs and great enterprise and health to that community. And I imagine, Don, that if Muskogee doesn't want it, there's lots of other communities that would love to have an 82,000 square foot clinic in their neighborhood, especially for Gibson tribes. Another service announcement is the relocation of our Housing Authority office in the northern part of the nation. To better serve the Cherokee people in Washington and northern Tulsa counties, the Housing Authority office is relocating to a more central site. It is moving from Owasso to a new office in Collinsville. The new office, I believe, opened today. Every month we proudly honor Cherokees in the military service. Tonight we honor Clay Mays, Sr. of Claremore, Oklahoma. Mr. Mays is a veteran who served the United States Air Force from 1948 to 1954. He served in Texas, Nevada, and South Korea. Reaching the rank of Technical Sergeant, Clay Mays earned a Good Conduct Medal, Korean Service Medal, the AB Service Medal, the National Defense Service Medal, and was discharged in July 1954 at Forbes Air Force Base in Topeka, Kansas. Mr. Mays was born in 1929 in Miami, Oklahoma, and was raised in the Dog Creek Hill area around Claremore. He resides in Claremore with his wife, Dodie Keys Mays. They have 3 daughters and 1 son, 12 grandchildren, 6 great-grandchildren. Now, if you will, Joe, help me. And if each of us will express our appreciation of Mr. Mays' service by a presentation. To Mr. Mays, are you here? Mr. Mays, could you come down for? Oh, there you are. Okay.
After the introduction, I'm surprised you let me help him.
Actually, I'm going to go back and take his job.
We all have senior moments.
I'm getting at that age.
That's great, right there. So we're going to give you that and show you.
I can get it open now. Please accept that from my great.
Oh, this is a great honor.
Can I say a word?
Yes, I think with our prayers to our Lord Jesus Christ ought to be for the Americans in Afghanistan and Iraq. And He brings all our soldiers home safely. Thank you.
I want to make sure Chief Grayson stays up here for a second presentation. We want to honor a second Cherokee veteran tonight, a veteran of World War II, James Lynn Vann. Mr. Vann served in the United States Army from 1943 to 1946. Mr. Vann fought in the infamous Battle of the Bulge. More than 1 million men fought in this freezing winter battle along the German-Belgian border. This major battle against Hitler's 250,000 advancing troops began on December 16th and lasted about 6 weeks. More than 76,000 Americans were killed, wounded, or captured during this one battle. Mr. Vann was taken as prisoner of war in Belgium and was imprisoned for 1.5 years. He was awarded the Bronze Star. Mr. Vann now resides at his father's allotment near Short, Oklahoma, with his wife, Mildred. He's retired from ranching and farming career. So please join us tonight, James Lynn Vann. David, you can join us.
Thank you, Mr. Vann. It's a pleasure to give that to you.
Would you just turn this way so we can get your picture? Okay. Just care to say a word or two? No. I want to report on our soldiers who are serving over in Fallujah today. I have a small picture here of all the Cherokees proudly displaying our flag. And see, please look at it tonight before you leave. And it's just really a fascinating picture. Of all these folks in this picture, these are Cherokee people from our country serving our great country. Deputy Chief Grayson received word from Fallujah last week from the Colonel Bartell. The Lieutenant Colonel said that the Smithsonian Institute in Washington is compiling artifacts from the powwow they held back in September. And I shared that picture with you last month. The museum will create an exhibit that honors Native Americans serving the military in Iraq. The soldiers are looking forward to the exhibit, and certainly are we. We have no shortage of Cherokee heroes and superstars to honor, and tonight I want to mention a few that have been recognized for more than us here in Tahlequah. First is Fern Hollow. She's our own Cherokee angel and hero who fought and died bringing democracy and rights, women's rights in Iraq. Fern was named 2004 Oklahoman of the Year by the Oklahoma Today magazine, and this is the cover of her photograph. Let me pass that down. Second is we have some great role models. In addition to Fern, today we have Sarah and Michael Hope. They too from Sequoia County and run for Sequoia High School. They're our star cross-country runners. They were both pictured in this month's Sports Illustrated Faces in the Crowd column. And so you know you've made it when you've been in Sports Illustrated. So we're very proud of them. The cross-country team, as you recall, has an outstanding history of taking state championships. I think they have 6 or 7 under their belt. As I conclude tonight, I want to invite the Cherokee youth living in our 14 counties to come to our offices tomorrow here at the Cherokee Nation of Tahlequah to audition for the Cherokee National Youth Choir. The choir is wonderful. It's a fun program that teaches our youth about their language. It creates leadership. They become an outstanding ambassadors program for all the Cherokee people. The choir is open to young people entering grades 7 through 12. The auditions will be held here in Tahlequah at the main complex. They are from 5:30 to 9:30 tomorrow night. So please, if you have children or grandchildren or nieces or nephews, we always need boys. But it's just been a great experience. The highlight of the last year was singing for the President of the United States. In past years, they sang at Ground Zero in Washington, D.C. With, what's that gal from the Nightingale of the Appalachians, Dolly Parton, Dolly Wood. But they had lots of great experiences, and every time you hear them, it stirs your heart. It makes you proud that you're Cherokee. And each one of them developed into great leadership, and we're very, very proud of them. So thank you very much. Very much. Good night.
Thank you, Principal Keith Smith. Next on the agenda is an action of unfinished business, and there being none pending, we will move on to the committee reports. Sir.
I have a couple of items that I would like for us to consider amending the agenda for. Would this be a proper time?
Go ahead, sir.
The first one is a resolution authorizing the contribution for emergency relief caused by the tsunami disaster in South Asia, December the 26th.
Okay.
And I think all of us have copies of that particular resolution. The second one is the authorizing the Cherokee Nation Behavioral Health Services to submit an application for a Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration funded grant to expand drug treatment capacity.
I would offer an amendment to the tsunami to add it to number 2, which would be a comprehensive budget modification. And I will second the motion.
Okay, move item, the relief fund, to item 2. Okay. To amend it to be part of legislative act 2. Okay.
Mr. President.
Sir.
Also, on the one for the grant, I think all of us have copies of that. The 6th whereas down there, where it's got $1,305,000 per year, that figure should be changed. I would like to change that to 1.5 million.
those in favor of the game? All those opposed? It's carried.
Thank you, sir.
Moving on to committee reports. Are there any reports from the tribal council? Any reports? If no reports, then we'll move on to the monthly reports, and the first one is the Housing Authority. Mr. David Stewart. David Sutherland.
Okay.
I'm just... Excuse me, David.
That's all right. Stewart's not a bad guy. Good evening. We had our Christmas dinner last month. We're happy to have several of you folks join us for that. We had a real good dinner and had a good time. At the dinner, we recognize, as we do every year at Christmas dinner, we recognize some of our employees for their years of service. And I'd like to take just a minute to read those names and recognize those folks tonight. They're not here, but we'd like to do that. Obtaining 10 years of service, Greg Grogan, Albert Cochran, William Langford, Shirley Copeland, Ronnie Shade, Kevin Triplett, Albert Wofford, Dina Jacobs, Jeannie Martin, Jimmy Worth, Debbie Bailey, and Billy Anderson. Our folks getting recognized for 15 years of service was Dwayne McCarter, Cora Hammer, Catherine Christie, Delana Kimball. And some of these folks, some of you guys know and work with on a regular basis. 20 years was Jim Kelly and Velva Gifford and Charles Hawkins. 25 years this year, we had one employee, Mary Drake. So just wanted to read those names so next time you have to talk with one of them, you'll know kind of they've been around here forever. So anyway, moving right along. As the Chief indicated a while ago, we did open up our Collinsville office today. We no longer have the OWASA office open, and I think Mr. Anglin and Ms. Cowan and Mr. Johnson all stay in touch with Gary pretty much, and I think that's a good move for us, and we're looking forward to working in Collinsville. We have received notice for the second time from HUD that they have some apartments in Oaks. It's in the Cherokee side of Oaks. I guess that'd be South Oaks, but they have some apartments up there that they're financing. They want to get rid of them. They want to sell them. This came up back in the summer. The price was just too high. We didn't even put in a bid, as did no one else. Well, now we received notice again that they've lowered the price considerably. We have a short time frame to get a proposal in, but we are going to submit a proposal for those. I think there's 24 units up there. They do have Section 8 funding with them, so could be in the very near future we may be able to pick up 24 units in Oaks. We don't have any type of rental at this time. That's my report. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Any questions? Any questions? Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Next, Cherokee Nation Enterprises, Mr. David Stewart.
Good evening. Sutherland's not a bad name either. We continue to see positive financial results from the gaming operations. Our net income from operations is up 30% from last year, both for the month and year to date. It is an exciting time as we experience the grand opening of the casino in Catoosa, and I would like to commend the council for their support and their support of the compact. Once again, we have set the standard of excellence for Indian gaming in Oklahoma, being the first resort destination to open in the state. We await the approval of our compact. The Department of Interior has actually approved it in writing, but it has to be published in the Federal Register. So we await that, and we expect it to be approved any day. We have remodeled all of our facilities, and we're in the process of even more remodeling to get ready for the new games. so that we are prepared to take advantage of that at the first possible time. That's my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have about the compact or the casino operation.
Any questions? Are there any questions? Mr. Garvin.
I had the privilege of going to the buffet this week, and I want to really compliment you on the food. And prime rib was excellent. And I'm going to put in a plug for the casino buffet, and I would suggest everybody try that if they haven't already. But I have one question. Where did the name come from, Wild Potato? And I've been to lots of places, Senegal, Holland, a couple of fairs, and a goat open, but I've never seen a wild potato.
Well, I think I'll defer that to Gina. Would you want to answer that? I know Gina knows. Don't you?
It was associated, the original thinking was that it was associated with clans, with the 7 clans of the Cherokee Nation, so they just took it as an offshoot of that. So that's what the...
That's a good idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions? More questions?
All right, thank you very much.
Next, we have Cherokee Nation Industries, Mr. Jim Majewski.
Good evening, Principal Chief Smith, Deputy Chief Grayson, and members of the council. I didn't know if I had to change that, but Cherokee Nation Industries sales for the month of December were about $6 million, or about 24% less than last year at the same time. And this is primarily due to the reduction of our telecom business. We're having an adjustment in the people that we're doing business with, and so we're probably going to be back online with our telecom business. It's going to return probably during the first quarter of 2005. The interesting thing, though, is our profitability for the same period of this year is about 42% greater than it was last year. So even though our sales are down a little bit, our profitability is up significantly. CNI is halfway through its fiscal year and slightly behind its budget in both gross revenues and profitability. However, we do expect to be back on target by the end of the first quarter of 2005. Our next board meeting is scheduled for Thursday, January 20th at 9:30 a.m. at the CNI facility. I'm sad to report that Bill Grass, a CNI board member, has suffered a stroke just prior to Christmas. Bill is currently at home recovering, and I'm sure that he would appreciate whatever prayers and good wishes that all of us could extend to his speedy recovery. Bill is a very significant position on the CNI board. He is dearly missed. I believe he's also on the CMB board. So whatever anybody, Bill spent about 2 weeks in the hospital and is just having kind of a difficult time right now. This concludes my report for CNI.
Are there any questions? Any questions? Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Now we move on to new business. The first item on the agenda is a resolution authorizing the Human Services Group to submit a proposal. Ms. Shothouse.
This is a resolution authorizing the Human Service Group to submit a proposal to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration on Aging to fund Title Part on Elderly Nutrition, and this application will also provide for continued operation of the Cherokee Family Caregivers Program, which provides for respite services and other support services to family caregivers, the elderly, and to elderly relatives, caregiver children under age 18. I put that in for a motion.
Okay.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carried. Item 2 is a legislative act authorizing a comprehensive budget for fiscal year 2005. and declaring an emergency. Ms. O'Leary.
Yes. This is Mod 4, and it explains the Comprehensive Budget Act fiscal year 2005 has actually a budget decrease by a little over $250,000 for a total budget authority of a little over $304 million. That's due to carryover estimates and spending authority ability that we have this decrease. I put that in form of a motion.
Chairman, I would second and add to it the tsunami $10,000.
Todd.
Mr. Baker, with your amendment to the tsunami $10,000, we will have to identify a source of funds. I've been told that source of funds would be general fund.
General fund.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's roll call vote. Matt?
Yes.
Bill John Baker?
Yes.
Roger Connor? Yes. Carol Fowler? Yes. Joe Crittenden?
Yes.
Haley? John Garvin?
Yes.
John Costin?
Yes.
William Johnson?
Yes.
John Keener?
Yes.
Linda O'Leary?
Yes.
Jacob L. Martin?
Yes.
Nirvana Shoptown? Yes. David Thornton?
Yes.
Phyllis Yarnge?
Yes.
Motion passed by unanimous vote. Next one, item number 3, legislative act amending legislative act regarding matching funds, Historical Society.
This is a matching grant of $400,000 to be made available to the Historical Society. In fiscal year 2005 and subsequent fiscal years, the Cherokee Nation will make available $400,000 subject to the availability of the funds. No funds received by the Cherokee Nation Historical Society pursuant to this act will in any way be used to fund or support the pottery operation held by CNHS. The CNHS shall confirm adherence to this section by a monthly sworn affidavit presented to the chair and co-chair of the E&F Committee of the Cherokee Nation Tribal Council. Put that forth in form of a motion.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Any questions or discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Bill England?
Yes.
Bill John Baker?
Yes.
Roger Connor? Yes. Carol Cowan?
Yes.
Joe Crittenden?
Yes.
Meredith Trail? Yes. John Garvin?
Yes.
Charles Hoskin?
Yes.
William Johnson?
Yes.
John Keener?
Yes.
Linda O'Leary?
Yes.
Jacob L. Martin?
Yes.
Nirvana Shoptown? Yes. David Thornton?
Yes.
Phyllis Yarnge? Yes.
The vote was unanimous. The act passed. Item number 4 is a resolution authorizing bids to be obtained for financing the Muskogee Health Center. Mr. Crittenden.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, the purpose of this resolution is to authorize Cherokee Nation Health Services to obtain bids for financing the proposed Muskogee Health Center. This is an obligation of the joint venture agreement between the IHS and Cherokee Nation. As part of the agreement, IHS will provide recurring operational funding. Cherokee Nation will provide the capital for the construction of the health center. The estimated amount is $17.5 million. I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Motion's made, seconded. Questions or discussion?
Mr. President, on behalf of the citizens of the Three Rivers District, I want to say thank you to everyone that had a part in this, especially Chief Smith, Tribal Council, Joe Crittenden, all the members of the staff, Health Department, and all of our elders, and especially all of our friends of the Cherokee Nation. It's been a tremendous endeavor, and it looks like it's going to come about. Chief mentioned the editorial. I know we have freedom of the press, and this is just probably one individual speaking, but we're all very appreciative of this, and we do not want to move it anywhere. Keep it in Muskogee County. Thank you very much.
Any other questions, or Mr. Hoskins?
Just a comment, Deputy Chief, and I appreciate the time. When this announcement was made in the newspapers and television, I received numerous phone calls from folks living up in Nowata County because we have an ongoing commitment to them, some 9 years old, almost 10 years old, to provide the expansion of a new clinic up there, which we are going to do. And this council has been supportive of that. Chief's been supportive of it. And I just want to take this opportunity to let them know that they have not been forgotten about. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Any other questions? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carried. Item number 5, a resolution authorizing Cherokee Nation Environmental Programs Group to submit a formal grant application. Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is requested $50,000 in funding from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency under a grant announcement entitled Building State, Territorial, and Tribal Capacity to Address Children's Environmental Health, Environmental Trigger of Asthma. This project is intended to build tribal capacity to effectively reduce childhood exposure to environmental trigger of asthma. And I'll put that form of motion.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carried. 6 is a resolution authorizing the placement of land in trust. Mr. Martin.
Thank you. This is a move for approval. This pretty well explanatory. I think it's involved 235.605 acres. And if there's any questions, we'll ask Mr. Stewart if he's still here. Thank you.
Any questions or discussion? Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carried. Item 7 is a resolution authorizing the easement assignment over Cherokee Nation tribal free land in Kay County. Mr. Martin.
The attached resolution is a request authorizing approval and the estimate of easement from Total Pipeline Corporation to Dynergy Crude Gathering Services Incorporated on tribal fee land in Kay County. I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carried. Item 8 is a resolution authorizing the approval of business lease. Mr. Martin.
Attached resolution is a request for Cherokee Nation Real Estate Service to lease trust land to American Promotional Events Incorporated, TNT Fireworks, to sell fireworks for a term of 5 years at $3,000 per year. Subject property is developed by lesser for a higher and better other than sale of fireworks. Move for approval.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carried. Item 9 is a resolution authorizing a loan from Cherokee Nation Enterprises to the Cherokee Nation landfill. Mr. Martin.
Mr. Chairman, this was discussed thoroughly in one of our committee meetings. I move for approval. If there's any questions, we have people from the landfill here that might be able to answer some questions.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carried. Item 10 is a resolution confirming the nomination of Darrell Dowdy as Justice of the JAT. Ms. Fraley.
Chairman,
seat is currently held by Justice Darrell Dowdy, expired December 30th, 04, and Principal Chief Smith has nominated Mr. Dowdy to serve another term. This resolution confirms his nomination. I move for approval.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carried. Item number 11 is a legislative act amending Legislative Act number 2904, Cherokee Nation Motor Vehicle Licensing and Tax Code. Ms. Fraley.
This legislation amends the Cherokee Nation Motor Vehicle Licensing Code as it pertains to the physically disabled. Under current legislation, the annual registration fee is free of charge if a tribal citizen meets two requirements. They must be 100% physically disabled and have a vehicle that's been modified to accommodate that physical disability. Well, the amendment before us removes those two requirements and proposes 100%, they'd be 100% physically disabled to qualify for this special rate, and I would move for approval.
Second. Motion's made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Mr. Hoskins.
Mr. President, I'd like to take this time to clarify what the council has done here, and I certainly want to recognize the diligence of Mrs. Holder in getting this information to us and allowing us to be able to do this. There was misunderstanding in our newspaper, and we had a lot of citizens show up who were 100% disabled, but yet they did not have their car changed to fit that handicap, and they were under the impression that the tags would be free. Well, after the passage of this, if it does pass, then those folks will, it will be back in the newspaper, I hope, that it will be free if they're 100% disabled. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any other questions or discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Bill England?
Yes.
Bill John Baker?
Yes.
Martin Connor? Yes. Carol Callen? Yes. Joe Crittenden?
Yes.
Meredith Fraley? Yes. Don Gardner?
Yes.
Charles Dodson?
Yes.
William Johnson?
Yes.
John Keenan?
Yes.
Lily O'Leary? Yes. Jackie Bob Martin?
Yes.
Joanne Shotwell?
Yes.
David Thornton?
Yes.
Phil Georgie?
Yes.
The vote is unanimous. The act passed. Item 12 is the Legislative Act amending Legislative Act 2804, Fiscal Policy and Responsibility Act amendments. Ms. Fraley.
Current legislation authorizes the line of credit to provide for operating cash needs of the Cherokee Nation. And under that legislation, a waiver of sovereign immunity is not in place, nor is there authorization for our principal chief to sign documents to execute that line of credit. And this amendment before us amends the Fiscal Policy and Responsibility Act to allow that, which will be handled in a separate resolution, and I would move for approval.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Any questions or discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Bill England?
Yes.
Bill John Baker?
Yes.
Martin Connor? Yes. Carol Callen?
Yes.
Joe Crittenden?
Yes.
Meredith Fraley? Yes. Don Gardner?
Yes.
Charles Hopkins?
Yes.
William Johnson?
Yes.
John Keener?
Yes.
Linda O'Leary? Yes. Jackie Bob Martin?
Yes.
Joanne Shotwell?
Yes.
David Thornton?
Yes.
Phil Georgie?
Yes.
The vote is unanimous. The act passed. Item 13 is a resolution authorizing the incurred indebtedness in the principal amount of not to exceed $5 million. Ms. Fraley.
Upon approval of the previous amendment, we're now asked to authorize the principal chief to incur indebtedness not to exceed $5 million and to execute a promissory note and a loan agreement. And secondly, to authorize a limited waiver of sovereign immunity to be contained in that loan agreement. And I would move for approval.
Thank you.
Motion's made and seconded. Any questions or discussion? Mr. Hoskins.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to ask Doug to explain this to us, please, if you would. Doug?
This resolution is actually approving the indebtedness note itself. It's defining the series of how we're going to go and write the agreement with the bank, waive the immunity, and exercise the provision that you just enacted in the legislative act for the line of credit previously. It's pretty lengthy in its writing, but I didn't see anything in it that I saw of concern. But I don't know what else other to say other than this fulfills what the previous enactment you just authorized in the line of credit. This actually allows it to happen.
When this came through rules, I believe it was bundled together, the one we just voted on, and then this one. That's why I was just curious why they were separate.
The legislative act that you just passed on the line of credit, previous item, actually had a provision in it from Legislative Act 502 back in 2002 that had an exclusion that it did not contain a waiver. So that exclusion had to be removed. And in addition, that act provided that Section F, in connection with securing of the line, it's necessary that the chief and his or her designee is hereby authorized to actually negotiate. Okay, and that's getting us into the resolution document you're considering now. This has some of the parameters in their negotiation because it mentions the interest rate limitations and how the actual debt instrument is going to be constructed.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Mr. President. Any other questions or discussion? Any other questions? Ms. O'Leary.
I'm a little confused. Didn't Cherokee and F, why did that come through rules and not E and F? Can anybody answer that for me?
Any other questions? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, no? Motion carried. Item number 14 is a legislative act amending legislative act number 19-0, establishing a free independent press for the Cherokee Nation. Ms. Fraley.
This legislation covers the Independent Press Act by amending the qualification requirements of an editor. It removes the requirement that the editor have experience in the management and operations of publications. It replaces that language with the requirement the editor have an appropriate combination of education and experience. And I would move for approval. Second.
Motion's made second. Any questions or discussion? Any questions or discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Bill England?
Yes.
Joe John Baker?
No.
Margaret Connor? No. Carol Callen? Yes. Joe Crittenden?
No.
Mary Fraley?
Yes.
John Garvin?
Yes.
Charles Hoskin?
No.
William Johnson?
Yes.
John Keener?
No.
Linda O'Leary?
No.
Jacob L. Martin?
Yes.
Ravon Shophouse?
No.
David Thornton?
Yes.
Phyllis Yargy?
Yes.
The motion passed 8-7. Item 15 is a resolution confirming the nomination of Rick Doherty as a member of the Cherokee Nation Election Commission. Ms. Fraley.
Mr. President, the following two resolutions confirm the nomination of Rick Doherty of Adair County and Jim Briggs of Mays County as members of the Election Commission. May I combine those two and get one vote?
Yes, ma'am.
Notice Mr. Briggs is here from Mays County, and is Mr. Doherty here? And Mr. Doherty's over here if you have any questions of them. These two gentlemen were elected by the Tribal Council, and with the previously approved commissioners that were nominated and approved by the Principal Chief, That will make 4 commissioners, and the 4 of them then will elect the 5th member to the commission, which will fulfill the membership of the election commission. I would move for approval.
Second. Motion's made and seconded. Are there any questions or discussion? Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate it. Would you stand and let everybody see you, please? Move on to item 18 or 17. Cherokee Nation Behavioral Health Extension. Who's?
This resolution authorizes the Cherokee Nation Behavioral Health Service to submit a formal application to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration for a grant to expand substance abuse treatment capacity in targeted areas of need. And I would move for approval. This is a $1.5 million grant application. It says if selected for funding, the Cherokee Nation will be awarded a grant of $1.5 million. There's no matching funds, and I put this in the form of a motion.
Any questions or discussion? Any questions or discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carried. Let me check. Were there any?
Mr. President.
Sir.
Are you through? Are you finished?
Yes, we are.
I'm not trying to rush things, but I'd like to introduce a couple of people in the audience before they walk out. Honorable Judge Darrell Dowdy, lady back there on the back row I met a while ago, Mrs. Dixon. She'd stand and introduce herself.
I'm Linda Dixon. I'm a professor at Bowling Green State University, a tribal member, and my home is in Chakota, and I'm here visiting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome. Chief has an announcement.
We had some discussions this afternoon about the formulas for the housing fund. As we discussed with Ms. Fraley, perhaps to expedite that it's the pleasure of the council, I could call a special council meeting 10 days from today. And immediately before that, have a rules committee for the specific and sole purpose of considering 2 nominees for the Housing Authority Board. If that's the pleasure of the council, I will now call a special council meeting for, I think it's January 20th at 6 o'clock.
Well, I'm sorry, wasn't it the 27th that we agreed on the special meeting, which would be the day of E&F, and we're all here, and then it'd be appropriate then after the resources meeting, which Melvina will be hosting then to have the special council meeting.
Mr. Chairman, we did agree on that date for the 27th. You're correct on that. And 2 of the council members will be gone probably on that date, the 22nd.
Is that your pleasure?
Does that work for you?
27th at 3 o'clock. No.
Mr. President, if it would be the pleasure, I think the special resources meeting was at 3 o'clock after E&F, so maybe if we pushed it to 5 or 6 for the special council meeting, is that what you're asking?
I prefer it to be later in the evening. I'd make to 3 o'clock. At the end of your committee meetings that day, what time will those be over?
7. At 7.
7?
27th at 6.
Does 6 o'clock sound agreeable to everyone?
So that'll be the date, time of special council meeting for the sole exclusive purpose of considering 2 board members, but Ms. Fraley will need to call And the rural committee sometime, consider it sometime before that. When would you have on the rules committee these appointments?
When would be on the 27th?
Would you consider them an earlier rules committee, or we consider them as a special rules committee on the 27th?
We have a special, you want to have a special rules committee on the 20th. Is that what you're asking?
I'm withdrawing that. My question is, when will the rules committee consider these nominations?
The 27th.
17. 17.
27th at 11:30. 11:30 on the 27th.
Okay.
On the 27th.
So just to recap, at 11:30 on the 27th, so you have the rules committee, which will be considered. And later that evening at 6 o'clock, we'll have a special council meeting for those nominations. Yes. Thank you.
Before we dismiss you, I want to introduce you to one of our future prospects with Cherokee, Ashley Cherokee.
So we agreed on the 27th at 6 o'clock for our meeting, special meeting. Okay. Announcements, Al.
Mr. President, I'd like to re-clarify, because if we need to hear these appointments and resources first before going to rules, before going to a council meeting, or it's tribal community services, okay, then we need to have switch from tribal community services special meeting to 11:30.
Rules is where we're going to hear them. Rules is where you hear them.
Okay, because it's IHP. Okay, never mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to announce that the Tribal Council Employment Committee will be holding a public hearing on Saturday, January 29th, here in the council chambers, unless it's in construction, and then will be a reconstruction, I guess. This will be over in the Tribal Services conference room if this room is not available. It is on the Terrell legislation. We currently have legislation on the books that's antiquated. In other words, it's old. So we're looking at getting some input from Terrell vendors and all of those involved. And hopefully we'll be able to clean up that legislation and get a good working document that almost everyone is satisfied with. So I'd like to make that announcement and invite everyone who is available to have concerns with this legislation. Thank you.
Just want to clarify, I think there was still some, 11:30 is going to be rules on the 27th, 1 o'clock E&S, 3 o'clock special community service meeting for the IHP 2005, and then special council meeting.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made second. Before we do, next council meeting is February 14th. All in favor of adjournment? Aye? Aye. All opposed, no? We're adjourned.